thank you so much to all the volunteers. Thank you to the race committee. And it's really awesome to be back out there sailing, as I think all of you would say. And couple things on how we're doing this. I don't know, we're still waiting for a few more to log on. But as we do, please type in any questions you have in the chat or give us anything and feedback in the chat, and then we can pull you onto the actual Zoom call as well, so we can have a chat if needed. And we are really hoping to get some feedback. So we'd love to hear from you guys about the racing. We did that race home, the race to the barn. It's a bit of a new concept. So, you know, from speaking to the boats when they're finishing, everybody seemed pretty pumped on it. You know, we're going to be coming this direction anyway. So it was nice to finish right by the yacht club. So that's one. And then I know we had a cruise ship over on Course A. So, you know, that was pretty close, but it seemed like everybody was navigating it fairly well and not making it a major issue, but also wanted to see, you know, if that became a major player in your tactics or your day of racing. So anything, and please feel free, ask any questions, type it in. Now, the first thing we just were going to go through was what a day of sailing it was. Just perfect conditions, like Champaign, San Diego sailing. Started off probably in like the 8 to 10 knot range for that first race. And then the second race looked to be somewhere, you know, 12 knots, maybe even 14 knots, where the boats were starting to move the water around and get really powered up. Died off a bit on the race home, but anyway, just a really, really nice, nice day, really nice conditions out on the water. I did note, and I saw quite a few boats. By the way, just a quick aside, it was really interesting to be in a power boat powering around the race course and not sailing. Kind of a new perspective for me, and it was really cool to see all the energy that you guys bring, rounding marks, and seeing all the teams kind of like, you know, getting pumped to do their job, and what they were doing was really cool. So that was something new from my end, and fun to see everybody's different energy and the way you know, people were getting pumped to be back out sailing. So that was really cool. And with that, I saw, you know, people working on jib changes, which I thought was cool. And I saw quite a few people changing for the conditions and making some changes in their sails. So, you know, obviously we had a bit of a breeze increase. So my guess is that they were changing from what I would think is a light jib to a medium jib. So again, that's something I'd love to hear. If any of you guys are out there watching, let us know. I think I saw at least one of the J105s changing, and definitely saw a few of the bigger boats with different head sails on the second beat. Now, in general, we just a couple things takeaways that we saw out there. General notes, you know, obviously we haven't been racing, so we're all just getting back in this together, and everybody's just kind of getting their feet back onto it. But just a few things we saw. There was, well, aside from PHRFA's first start with a couple OCSs, which was one way to start it, there was a lot of people just kind of hanging back on the start. So we definitely saw that there was room for improvement where people could, you know, get closer to the line and get up off the line at the start time. So that was something that we just saw kind of through a lot of the starts. And then, you know, just crew work wise, it looks like, you know, you just get back into it. So everybody's just getting back into the racing and everything. So as you get more comfortable and back to remembering how you do your jib halyard and how you do your halyard and all the different little things that all add up to make a big difference. I spent a lot of time with the guys on Pendragon on a practice day, and we were talking about how all these little things add up to huge, you know, time advantages or disadvantages if you really do all the little things well. So, you know, that's one thing we saw that definitely can be, you know, cleaned up and brought a little bit better here and there. Was on the sets and on the takedowns, just getting the kites up and down quickly, and getting kites all the way up before they fill, things like that. And that just comes with, I mean, it's been 7 months, we haven't been racing, so, you know, that stuff happens. But so with that, I think we just wanted to start and go through some of the results and give you guys an overview of where we stand. So let me share my Zoom screen, see if I can figure this all out. And we're just going to go through this real quick. And and talk about what we've got going on in the J105 class. You know, one thing I noticed in the results that's really cool too is that, you know, we've got a lot of mixed results. So to me, that's a sign of good racing where it's competitive and you're seeing, you know, multiple people able to win races. There's not just, you know, runaways in any of these classes. So makes for great racing, makes for good racing on a day 2 of the regatta. So, so the JOK and Stuart Cannon, those guys were going really well. They won the second race, which we saw over there, and they looked really good on that race. Sanity's doing well. Sun Puffin and Blink. I know Blink was right up in that. So the, you know, tight racing in the J105 class, and it's great to see that, and it really was cool to see that group just stay so close the whole time as we're so used to. So then the results go to PHRFA, where we see Pendragon, the Davidson 52, Steve Torres and the guys, they're doing really well, and, you know, 1-2-2. So again, not just running away with it, but pretty consistent. You know, one of the old adages, seconds win regattas. So, you know, they're hanging right in there. Fast exit. If you guys haven't seen the boat, it's really cool. Obviously, I'm sure you're seeing it sailing around, but really cool with the reverse bow, really, really wild looking boat. And that thing's going really well with a 215. And, you know, then it's getting down into the fleet where the guys are still really competitive all the way through the fleet. So now on the next one, we see that the Nereid, the J125, always a really, really strong boat, goes really well here. So they have 1-2-1, zero gravity's right in, and that's going to be a great battle. I know between those guys, it's really close sailing. And then Saga and Precepts are right in there. I see a DNF. I'm not sure really what's going on with Precepts. Maybe they had a breakdown or something. I'm not quite sure, but a little bit of a bummer. I apologize, but it looks like our 440s just didn't show up to the regatta. So it goes, you know, only so much you can do in under 2 weeks' time. In the PHRFD, this is one that I think is really cool, because when we were looking at all the boats, it was like, how are we going to get all these guys to be able to race against each other and have, you know, good racing? And this one was a group that we were just kind of like really scratching our heads on how it was going to work. And I'm really happy to see that it was good racing, and these guys are really going at it. And, you know, again, mixed results. So you see guys, you know, able to get back up even when they've had a bad result. So Ohana, my man Joe Marquis, going really well with a 131. That boat really likes it when it gets a little breezier. So, you know, every dog has its day, and anytime you see the Ohana heeling over, it's probably a good day for them. The Buttercup, obviously, they're always right there. Echo. So, you know, really cool racing. I saw, by the way, on the race home, the Buttercup and Ohana battle. I think I have some photos. It was really cool, and they were like basically bow to stern and playing a little game of chicken, which was pretty fun to see. So, you know, and then let's go to the Beneteau 36.7. We're going to skip the ORR. Really, that's just a bit of a dual scoring for the PHRFA. But in the 36.7, the Buenos Aires going really well with a 131. Legend right there, 312. So again, just mixed results where everybody's right in it. And tomorrow, I'm sure, you know, some tactician's going to have a lot of math to do to figure out the possibilities. So, but the general rule of thumb is just go win some races, do the best you can, and the results will come. Try and do the math on the last race rather than early in the day. So that's where we are for the results. And so next part of this, we're going to bring in and we're going to start sharing some photos. And we have Oliver here from Tactics, which we sent out to the PHRFA group and the B groups. And we've gotten a few boats that have, you know, been able to give us some good data so we can track it. It's been a little tricky because it's, again, short notice. So apologize the way that it's worked out. But we have a few people here that have given us good data. So, you know, we had the photographer and I was on the photo boat, so we're taking pictures, and really, really cool, again, to see that perspective, to get up close and kind of see the different opinions, and those opinions go with different boats too. In a one design group, you would say, you know, people are just doing things different, but kind of in the big boat PHRFA group, you know, you'd say like that fast exit, that thing's huge and wide in the transom. So it's totally different than say Staghound or Pendragon or any of these other boats. So it's interesting to see how they all manage it and how they go. So I think our next step is to get Oliver in here, and we're going to try and pull up some of the race replay and photos. So yeah, so this is a start of the first race for the big boat class PHRFA, and you'll see on the left that it's starting to just play through basically the data of the boats sailing out on the race course. And then we're just going to, let's see if I can figure out how to do it. Swipe through some of these photos from the day and really start kind of digging into who's out there and what's going on. There's our boat we were talking about, Fast Exit, really cool boat. Thank you guys for coming down and making the effort to be here. But you can already see in some of these photos, you'll see them on a lot. It's the, you know, what we call a form stability transom with this wide back of the boat where you really get a lot of leverage by hiking back there. That really cool reverse bow that nearly lines up with the head stay. It's a pretty wild looking boat and it looks fast, and it's fast. We were chasing it around and banging around on the rib trying to keep up. So yeah, and then Pendragon obviously doing really well, having a great regatta so far, and it's a cool boat because that's actually one of the older boats that they've started kind of looking at for the TP52 class, not necessarily a TP52, but Laurie Davidson in New Zealand designed the boat, and it's still kind of, you know, finding a whole new life here with Steve and the gang here in San Diego. So super happy to have them out here racing and being competitive and getting up into it. So here's the zero gravity. They've obviously been having a great event, you know, dueling it out with the J125. So another really cool boat. That one kind of has that cool little, to get the same form stability, they have those little, I don't know what you'd call those, cantilever edges or what did the Pyewacket have? The, oh, anyway, wings, mini wings like a 49er, but a really cool boat. So this is a bit of a tacking shot. CC Ryder, our boys chucking the guys out on the J120, still going at it. It's too bad we don't have more J120s here for them to race against. But again, thank you for coming out to race in the group. So yeah, here was one that was pretty interesting. Some of these starts were really different opinions, and I would have had a hard time too as a tactician to make a call whether you should have been starting to weather or starting to leeward. You know, a lot of people, as you can see, was kind of piled up at the boat. But one thing that was a bit surprising about the day out there was that the wind definitely shifted left a little more than we expect. You know, a pretty traditional San Diego breeze, obviously. A lot of you guys know this really well. It comes in early, comes in from the left, and then starts kind of ticking its way to the right. And, you know, it's just pretty progressive shift. Where today it definitely went, you know, started in that 265, 275, and then kind of started going back to the left, which, you know, it does happen. It happens actually a fair bit, but it's just not the traditional way that the breeze goes. So in that case, you know, there's nothing wrong with winning the pin and starting to really get out to the left. So you would traditionally say that it's time to start going right. The afternoon breeze is on. We're going to start seeing the shift to the right, but interested to hear if any of you guys made out by winning the pin or you know, taking the leeward end and heading left early in a beat. So here's a few more of the guys sailing. We're starting to get closer. I was doing my best to get trim shots out of there, but not get too in the way with you guys. So hopefully we didn't cause any wakes or too much out there when we're, you know, driving around trying to get the photos. But so there's a really cool picture of the fast exit with a high aspect square-headed main. It's basically a big knife blade up in the sky. That thing is a, you know, real machine. And they did a really good job on this one of getting the kite set and getting the jib down. You know, we heard a lot of that, and it was funny to hear it. Everybody talking about get the jib down, get the jib down. And it really is a critical part of the set if you get your jib down early. If that just helps the kite fill so much. And even if you can just get it down 10 feet, 20 feet and hold, you know, let the bow guys kind of get it under control and then let the kite fill, you're off and running downwind and the kite fills. So that's a big thing to keep in mind. Here's Blue Blazes going around and the Pendragon going around. So yeah, that was an interesting one with that cruise ship because it obviously compacted the ley line for the Course A long mark. And I saw a lot of people using that, you know, to kind of tack their way up the top right of the course and then get onto a ley line. Kind of took away the top right, but at the same time, you know, it was a pretty long ley line, even if you did tack right at the ship. So, you know, would you have wanted to be much further to the right at that point? I don't know. I guess that's your call. Again, we'd love to hear from you if you had a incident with the ship. Jeff Johnson was on the horn with them. And by the way, a quick aside, they left and we saw them leave on what's it called? AIS, and we were all excited. They left. Yeah, the cruise ship's out of there. And then they pulled back in. They went to LA, provisioned, got fuel, and decided that the best place they could come back to was park right in the middle of our race course. So no thanks to those guys, but they're out there doing their thing as well. So the precepts, we have a few of these trim shots. Let's see if we can get them to pop up here. Okay, that's the second roll. So these are all just kind of some shots from the day. I think this was early on. Staghound had a really big lead in this first race. And then here's the Pendragon coming down. That's a pretty big 8.2, you know, full-size spinnaker for the boat. And they were doing a good job managing. I was surprised. Everybody did a good job managing the kites at the leeward mark. Pretty nice drops, you know, a little bit on the conservative side and early. Can't blame you, you know. First race in a while, and first leeward mark, you're probably not going to push it. And if you push it and get it wrong, it's way worse than getting your kite down a little bit earlier. So but I was impressed. Everybody was doing a good job getting the kites in the boat. So here's one that I thought was interesting, and we talk about it a lot on boats like this. And when you're doing these kind of windward drop, you know, what people call a Mexican, this picture in general is a really key component, is to not let the kite get into the jib. Obviously, somebody's down there trimming the jib in and trimming. And then as they're doing it, it's real easy for the sheet to catch the jib sheet to catch the spinnaker. And it usually tears the spinnaker and then you can't trim the jib in. But, you know, we manage that. I saw people managing that and recognizing that that's something you got to pay attention to. So usually like a mid-bow person is pulling that, keeping it out of the jib sheets. So that was really cool to see. Here's another, you know, similar takedown coming in, jibing, weather takedown. And yeah, the 145s were awesome too. They were just going at it, and I saw them back and forth. And you know, we were really impressed with seeing how that they were having so many races within the race, and these guys were going really neck and neck at each other and really close the whole day. So here we're starting to see, you know, more of the trim shots, and I haven't had a lot of time here today to, you know, to start measuring and looking at all this, but these are the photos that are really valuable. You can start to see the mast bend characteristics. Is the mast vertical? Where's the boom on center line? You know, is the boom lured to center line or is it on center line? And in some cases, we're starting to see more and more the boom actually up to weather of center, and a little bit more twist in the mainsail, so that, say, around the quarter stripe, the lower stripe, you're starting to see that on center, and then the top actually twists open from there. And, you know, this is a really nice, the mainsail's setting up nicely in this, and, you know, it looks like, you know, maybe they could work a little bit to get the jib a little tighter into that, but, you know, again, they're going pretty good here. I think that's the precepts 40.7, not 40.7, Beneteau. First 40. So this is a shot more into the slot. So these are really important too. So now you start to see where's the clue relative to the cabin top, how inboard is the clue sheeted. And, you know, so what I'm looking at when I see this is at these stripes, at the quarter stripe of the jib, the half stripe and the 3/4 stripe, where are they pointed? You know, and so the bottom stripe is obviously coming in and following into the main. The mid stripe is kind of pointed almost right at the camera. And then the top stripe's a little bit out. So that's pretty twisty setup in the jib. Maybe too twisty. I don't know. Somebody say too much twist, not enough twist. I don't know. Your call. Looks a little bit light to be into that full twist mode to my eye, but probably still looking for power. And I think that was race 1. So at that point, I think you're still going to be looking for power more than, you know, kind of this mode where the top stripe is relatively speaking open, where it's twisted. You know, that's depowering. So I keep using the wrong computer to move the pictures around. So here we have fast exit coming upwind. Not a ton in that photo. A little bit on the head stay sag, but it's fairly straight. So, you know, and the nice thing is you can see the boom coming up. So obviously they're still right on the wind, trying to get to the ley line there, or on ley line. Staghound was going really well as usual today. You know, they were launched in that first race, and then I, you know, got closer and closer. So as they were, you know, it's amazing to see all the different boats have their different strong points, and Staghound goes upwind really well. And then some of the other boats are a little faster downwind. So it was fun to watch kind of the, you know, the cat and mouse game of one boat going ahead, the other boat kind of falling a little bit behind, but not much there. Straight out of attack. That's probably not the best place to tack, smashing on a wave. But here was one that I did see, and we actually noted this on quite a few boats. It was a part, Oliver actually mentioned it, and we definitely saw it quite a bit. Something to keep in mind when you're setting the kite. We saw a lot of boats kind of come off on your downwind angle, which is the angle you're going to end up sailing, which maybe 145, 150, whatever your boat's going to do. But not really doing the bear away to let the guys get the kite all the way up and set and in position. And I think you have that opportunity there when you first round the mark. You've carried your speed from upwind. You know, you're going plenty fast. If you ease the mainsail and really run for a quick second, it takes all the pressure off of the systems on board, and you get the halyard all the way up on the kite, you get the sheets set, and then come up to your angle, and all the work will have been done instead of fighting, you know, the pressure of going straight. It's a little bit of a double-edged sword. You lose a little bit of speed in that, but if you do it right, you get everything set, and then you come up to your sail. Perfect world, you can maybe nail it all and go straight, but you know, we did see quite a few spinnakers filling with 8 or 10 feet of halyard left to be hoisted. So obviously you want to try and get that all the way up before you round the mark, or before you load up. Wrong computer again. Blue Blazes coming up, not best photo there. J145 Polymon, they were having a nice day dueling it out with these guys. How do you say their name again? Katara? Katara, yeah, Katara. They were going great, and they had really cool races against the other one. So fun to see. Okay, so Oliver, let's pull up more of the trim shots specifically. Is Taps playing over there? Oh. So, yeah, please interact with us. Type. Yeah. So Oliver with tactics. He worked on quite a few boats to get everybody set up for the tracking app, and you know, like I said, it's a little bit of a last minute deal, but we've been working hard on it. And then we've got these pictures coming up to look at a few more of the trim settings and see if we can find a few more of the, you know, the kind of finer points of where everything was set.
So these are the trim settings.
Yeah. Let's see. Marnie, you seeing Oliver's screen?
It is coming up.
Okay.
Oliver started sharing it. So there we go.
Okay. So now you are starting to see on the left the tactics group. Which boat do you think this is here? That's fast exit from this is playing along, so you can start to see some of the animation of the boat actually sailing on the race course. So here now we're looking again kind of right up in the slot of this jib in main. So the first things that I see coming to my mind are, again, the twist and the overall camber of the sails. So generally speaking, obviously this boat's fast, it's lightweight, it's going to have flatter sails than a little heavier boat with a more displacement mode. But you can see real clearly, the one thing that I really like about this picture is the way the two sails are twisting in parallel. So as you move up the sails, you know, they're both pointed aft and coming out somewhat on center line down low. By the mid stripe, they're both kind of pointing more towards us as we're sitting here at the table. And then by the top, they're both pretty open. So this boat goes to a pretty twisty setup fairly early, very tall mast, powered up. You can see some white caps, so it's getting a little windier. So I'm more in agreement that this is now a nice twist profile. And the thing I really like, and this is something people need to always work hard on, is getting both of them to twist the same way, whole way up vertically. If you see the jib all pinned in and the head's all tight and the jib's all, you know, closed up the whole way and the main's all open and twisty, you're all out of whack. And, you know, and the same it goes if the jib's the other way. So this is a really nice photo of showing how you want those two sails in parallel vertically, and then, you know, they're both facing at us by the top of the sail there. So side on shot, not quite as much, you know, in terms of actual sail trim, but a little bit more on just like the aspect ratios, which is how tall they are and how basically they are really tall and even the whole way up rather than a triangle. So again, just a more modern view. So these are the photos that, you know, if we get into higher performance and kind of these teams, we spend hours looking at all these photos from astern, looking at the camber, how much shape is in the sail, how much twist is in the sail, where is the boom relative to center line, you know, so can we zoom in on this?
Oh,
Oh, there we go, up top left. But these are really the pictures that you spend a lot of time looking for and looking at to see where you are. Again, they're nice and heeled up, so the boat's, you know, powered up, obviously fully powered up. You got everybody hiking, you know, and so we're probably starting to see the Traveler drop a little bit, and you're at max power and just starting to depower. So you can see that quarter stripe down low, it's still got a lot of drive in it. So you're not completely bladed out. The foot and like the outhaul and everything looks pretty nice and flat, but then you're starting to see a pretty aggressive twist profile as you're going up here. So again, looking at the stripes, look at the quarter stripe versus the half stripe. And then when we go up in the head's setting up real nice and flat and open, low drag, fast through the water, and you're not looking for power. The boat's powered up and ripping along. So let's see if we can get in here and see where the jib is. So anybody out there, look at where do you think that boom is, you know, relative to center is really key. Like some of the boats we'll put a nice mark on the back of the boom so you really can see it in the photos, like you'll see in the TP52s or Max E72s. Some of these guys have programs and then they put these spirally weird stickers on the back of their boom. But what that is so that you can always pull that relative to center line. So to me, you're just to leeward to center line. And then the jib clue looks to be nicely in parallel again. So I think that's a pretty sweet shot of, again, you're seeing the white caps, they're powered up, boat's really starting to rip along upwind. Nice looking sail, nice looking twist. That's a pretty sweet setup. So, okay, how do we go to the next picture? Yeah, so Pendragon, you know, it's really cool. Like I said, I'm happy to see these boats like Pendragon still doing so well. I mean, it's forget what year it is, but I think it's, you know, late 90s and not necessarily brand new design, but it's still obviously has a lot of horsepower. Boat goes really well. So I think they're onto a medium jib here. You can see that the clue is in-hauled. This boat in-hauls quite a bit. So you want to, again, keep everything in parallel. I'd say the Traveler looks to be dropping here a little bit more than the other boats. So you might have a little bit out of whack between the boom and the main and the jib. Again, it's hard for me to say. This is a little bit of a different boat. It doesn't have the stability that Fast Exit has. Fast Exit's this big wide thing where everybody's hiking out and it's just, you know, a power machine. This boat's a lot narrower and you know, so you're not able to keep quite as much power on the mainsail for as long. But generally speaking, nice trim inside of the jib. And then you can see again, the leeches are twisting off as we go up the sail. It's a little harder to see the twist profile in triangular sails like this than it is in a nice square-headed main. It really shows you that evenly. So that's something you got to kind of really pay attention to the stripes, the backstay, where you are relative to, you know, the rest of the boat. So yeah, let's just go to the next one. Yeah, so here's a good one of the triangular mainsail. You know, so again, look at the stripes. What do you see? And, you know, how much shape is there? What are we seeing up here at the top? Obviously, pretty twisted open. Oops, now I'm drawing pictures. Oh. So, you know, this picture to me might be on the excess, like you're starting to twist. So what would be your next move? Or, you know, how would you go for another D-power? I'd probably say, I don't know where they are in the backstay, but that's something that you would definitely keep in mind. You know, maybe we start going up. If you have a hydraulic headstay, you'd probably bring your headstay, make sure it's all the way down, and start getting the backstay to really bend the rig and flatten the main. Because again, it looks like the crew's all hiking. Everybody's basically up. We got a few people out there that, if you're on board, you're going to go, hi, come on, what are you doing down there? But, you know, obviously the more weight to weather, the better. And then the more sail you can keep on. But I don't know, that's maybe 10 knots or so wind speed, not quite 12. So, but again, nice looking setup. And obviously they were going well, so nothing we can really get too critical of. So yeah, so there is
The small course.
oh, okay, here we go. Now, so we're on to course B. And this is that PHRF group that I'm really excited to see such good racing in, and great starts. The Hobie 33 and those guys were going really well. And you can see the Ohana, you know, and it's pretty cool to see such different boats racing in a class. We had the J80s in here. I mean, like I said, we were scratching Jeff and Jared and myself, and we had Greg Stewart and a bunch of us trying to figure out, you know, how we can compile all these boats in a way that they can go racing in a good, you know, regatta. It works, and these guys are racing against each other, and they're having great races, and again, you know, different people winning races. So Ohana, you can see plowing through big waves, big heavy boat, and once it gets going, it's a freight train and just trucks upwind. And then you got the little lightweight Hobie 33, and it's doing its thing, the Thomas 35. So those guys were having a great regatta. And then the Buttercup, the Shock 35. So pretty cool. Next, we have the 105 group. Great to see everybody out. This was one of those starts where for sure we saw quite a few of these where it was like, okay, you know, everybody was a little bit late. Okay, you're a little bit late. Let's go, let's go, let's go. So there is opportunity there to get a little closer to the line. The race committee is going to love me for saying that, because now we're going to have a bunch of OCSs tomorrow as everybody's like on the line. But, you know, the idea obviously is you don't want to give it away at the start. You want to be as close as you can when the gun goes off, at speed, going. So, you know, it takes time and distance, practice. But again, everybody was going off at the same time. It was pretty cool. Really good starts. Really nice shot of Blink sailing upwind. Looks like kind of in that breezier condition. So looks like they've got the jib really nicely flattened out in the foot. Probably moved the lead back a couple clicks. And, you know, starting to depower the head sail there. Main's still nicely up on center line. So obviously the 105 can take the power there. They're looking for power a lot of times. So they're keeping the main on, keeping the boat going. And they were going great. So I don't know if there it goes. just nice racing with those boats. We would love to have had a few more, and next regatta they'll be there, but still with 5 boats, it's really cool to see everybody racing so tight. So here, the Sailhook, these guys were going great, and they had a great regatta. They've got some cool stuff. This adaptation from the Etchells class, Etchells sailors out there. They put their spinnaker pole on the boom, kind of like the old E22 with the go either way and ditch it on there. So kind of a cool adaptation from other boats around town. And here's a start where this looked like the Legend up on the line going pretty good. But, you know, as you can see here in the background, there's a couple boats that, you know, obviously just kind of, it's easy to get distracted. So I'm not here to criticize it all, but it's, you know, it's hard to come back from being far behind at the start. So obviously give yourself the opportunity, be at this line, at the go, at the gun. And 105's charging upwind. Oh, these were really cool. Blink round in the mark. They were really nicely powered up, and I loved, you know, the enthusiasm was awesome. It was really cool. There were some nice sets in the 105 group. I thought they got their kites up nicely and jibs furled, and really boat handling was really good. So, what do we got? 36 sevens. Oh, one other theme that I definitely saw consistently and heard as the boats around the marks. You know, remember, as a main sheet trimmer, as you're rounding the weather mark, ease the main before the boat turns, because the helmsman is just going to be fighting you if the main is still on. So you want the main, you know, if you remember watching the America's Cup with the version 5 boats, you know, the main has to basically be completely off in order to spin the boat. So as you're approaching, make sure, you know, the classic mistake is that you don't have the winch handle out and you don't have the main out of the top handle. So you know, that's a classic main sheet trimmer deal where you want to get the thing off and ease it before you turn so that the helmsman can turn down. Your helmsman will thank you. Wrong computer again. And here's just a few more. Fast exit, a Pendragon coming upwind on the medium jib, going nicely. We set up on the ley line and we got some really nice action shots of these guys rounding the second weather mark. Staghound hot on their trails. There's Pendragon. I'm, you know, sorry to point out, but you know, it's just the same thing of trying to get the halyard all the way up so you don't have to grind it later. Here's our boys on the Blue Blazes going upwind. This is not quite, I think they were reaching into the mark, so it's pretty hard to get too much onto the trim there. So, okay, so that's about all we have as far as the photos and everything. Is anybody, okay, hold on. We do have a couple things in the chat. Let's see, what do we got? Oh, it's Marnie. Marnie, what do you have for us? All right, well.
I would like to know more about Oliver's screen there and watching Fast Exit. And John Raymond was on for a while there, but interesting to see one of the roundings. And maybe you can analyze that if you saw that race too. It was,
yeah.
That is really neat feature, and this is all done live on their boat.
Yep. Shout out to Julie Murray.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So what do we got? We got Oliver's Tactics tracking the boat on the left. So they're going 12-7. No. They're going 8-4, 8-2. Oh, so here they're tacking early because of the old cruise ship.
Yeah, exactly.
So they tack early instead of kind of carrying out to ley line.
Can you talk about the sales report?
Oh, yeah. So one of the adaptations that we're working on the tactics program that's pretty cool is that as these things play and we get the feed or the log of the data, we've got it to the point where it's really cool. We can take photos of the sails. And so I do a lot of that obviously on board, and then you get the up shots. We can measure the cambers and the entries and everything. And we've got it to the point where they timestamp into the stream. And it's really cool. On the bottom, you get these little photo icons, and how many times I've taken pictures of sails, and, you know, I'm scribbling with my little golf pencil here, like, you know, it's 12 knots, and I think we're sailing like 40 degrees and, you know, 37 degrees true wind angle or whatever. The nice thing with this is you get a picture on the stream, and then it fills in with all the data that's on the computer. So you're not, you know, scribbling a little note or trying to take a time or anything. So it's really a cool feature that, you know, we're working on with Tactic to get more data from the boat to correspond to photos from on the boat, off the boat, sail photos, all that kind of stuff. So pretty cool adaptation of using this information that you get that's on your boat from the instruments. So here we go. Whereas fast exit's still going upwind. I bet they're going to do, you know, a little double tack here to get up to ley line fairly shortly.
Yeah, the Mark 1 is actually in a slightly different spot in real life, so they're going to go a little bit above it.
That was a little past it, yeah.
Wow, that would make sense on what I saw the first round.
Yeah.
It wasn't there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here there's this double tack that everybody was doing. And, you know, in a lot of ways, I thought that was kind of a blessing in disguise. We saw one of the other fleets where there was no ship to keep you on the race course. It's real easy to sail yourself out to the corner, and then you're like, oh man, we're way overstood, and this is where, you know, country mile away from the weather mark, where you have a ship that says, nope, you got to tack short and do your little 2 tacks. It, in some ways, is a blessing because it puts you on the racetrack the whole time versus, you know, winging it way out to the top right. And if you're way out to the top right and the breeze goes right 5 degrees, you're like, oh, we are out here, you know, and just owning it. So yeah, but it's really cool to see these replays. Oh, and you can you turn the speed even up a little bit there? 2 times, 3 times? Yeah. Oh, nice. There you go.
The Mark was actually in real life a little bit above where they pinned it.
Yeah, so the mark wasn't exactly as we have it out here on there, but so there you go. There's the actual ley line. So I bet then we'll see them around the mark. By the way, Oliver, I have at least 2 to 3 times thought that was my father-in-law on this Zoom call. Oliver Michaels. My father-in-law is Oliver Michaels. Hi, Ollie. So now they're ripping downwind. You know, relatively speaking, that's 10, 12 knots or whatever it is. So, well, I think we're coming up on 40 minutes. We kind of went from 45 minutes to an hour. I don't know if we have many other people on here with us right now, but it's recorded. So thank you all, everybody, for logging on, checking it out. Please, if you do have any questions, follow up with us. We'll be around. I'll be here all day tomorrow. Let us know. We can dig up some photos, and, you know, we're happy to dig up photos for your boat specifically. Look into it and see how we can help you out. We are running the sail repair service tonight. You know, we have a couple sails. They're going to hang out here until we get done with this. So if you do have any sails that need to be fixed in the morning, let us know right away, because we're getting ready to go. If not, we can handle any repairs after the regatta next week at the loft. Happy to help you with that as well. And yeah, feel free to shoot any questions, and we'll go from there. So good luck tomorrow. Have a great race. Wonderful to see everybody out racing again. It's so good to be back to it and just back out racing. So have a great day. Hope you had a great day today, and good luck tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.